Hey, hi everybody. Let me see if I can get this lighting a little bit better. How can I do this? Ah, yeah. So I want to talk about this video that I saw that Oprah did about forgiveness. And she starts off with talking about gratitude, which is very much a stepper thing, and what she does in the morning. And I don't really have a problem with, you know what, that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the forgiveness thing, which is really, really, really awful. It is what she basically is saying is that you should forgive your predator. You know, it really is this type of thing. And what happened was I've been doing a ton of meditations that I found on YouTube because of COVID and closures in Los Angeles, and feeling like I was just gonna go nuts. And her video came into my algorithm, which makes absolutely no sense because the videos that I'm watching have no people with these really beautiful, soothing voices, and there's nothing there about blaming yourself. So I want to just say straight up, this is one of the biggest problems with Alcoholics Anonymous and any cult, and even with Oprah and the cult of Oprah, or the people who follow her and think that whatever she says, is just the truth. Or sorry, I have all the messages coming through. I don't know how to stop it. And basically, the biggest, let me go back. Like, so when I first was in the I like to call it that sometimes to give it even less power, I never, ever believed that any victim, it was their fault. Okay, just like plain and simple. Was really young, 18, never bought into that crap. Then let's fast forward to years, like 15 years in, and I don't know how to stop this messenger thing. I got to learn how to stop doing it, how to stop it. But I learned. Oh, I was in therapy, so I was like, it was like 15 years in, and I had a child, and the child just triggered all this stuff. So I don't know how to stop this light here. It's just too bright. I think I could turn it down. But anyway, just keep going forward. So, yeah, I had a great therapist, and she is and was a PhD and worked strictly with child abuse. It could be physical, emotional, or sexual, and that was her specialty. And she was pretty amazing, and really changed me, and really helped me incredibly. And so I don't know how to. I don't even know how to do. There's a chat thing. I'm just going to say hi, because I'm not really sharing this with anybody right now. Okay, so forgive me, but this is like only my second time doing a live stream, and I'm doing it just because this happened to me today when I was watching some meditations. Her thing came into my algorithm, and normally I wouldn't watch it, but I started watching it, and halfway through I was just like, are you like kidding? Are you kidding? You're like subtly blaming the victim, and that, I would have to like replay it and kind of stop and start again. Uh, so let me just finish my train of thought here if I can. So I'm in therapy, and now that is like a really long time ago, might be 27 years ago. And my therapist like leaned into me and she said, you never have to forgive them for you to heal from child abuse. You never have to heal those people. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, like that's not part of healing from child abuse work. Like you can, and you don't have to confront them if you don't want to. I did confront some people, and but to learn that it wasn't a part of healing, to you didn't need to forgive them, right? So picture that I'm not going to AA as much because I had a new baby, and now my baby is like a year and a half old. And fortunate for me, I knew that my baby was more important than going to a stupid meeting when I was already 15 years sober and didn't want to drink. So why do I need to go to a meeting? So I had really pulled back and went like once a month to these couples meetings that I went to, and that was once a month. So as I'm doing this work, the more work I did, and this is why I think when I left AA, I think when I left AA, why it was so easy was that I began deprogramming years before I left in sort of in stages. And this stage was about how bullshit the whole forgiveness thing and is. And even as a Catholic, like I never heard that. And I mean, I know the Catholic Church has been in a lot of trouble, and rightly so for child molestation and things like that. So, and a lot worse, right? So, but I was never told one by the Catholic Church that I was powerless or that I didn't have free will or that I didn't have a choice. In fact, I was told the opposite. I was told that I did have free will and that I made choices daily about how my life was going to be, right? And the other part was I was never told that, well, I think they're probably let me pull that back, dial it back, because I think there is might be a thing in the Catholic Church where you have to like just forgive everybody. I don't know. But um I didn't buy into it all the way. And in AA, I certainly didn't buy into it from an 18-year-old and on, where I was definitely sexually harassed by guys who that was their game. That was their game. So back to Oprah. At one time, I loved Oprah. I thought she was like, as good as sliced bread and, jam and jelly on it and whatever. And when she talked about how she was raped and how she had people on and the inner child and this whole movement, and she had the women on The Courage to Heal, which I read that book. It was tremendous help to me. But I think that Oprah started backpedaling. I know that she's very close friends with, or she was close to Marianne Williamson, who is a big time stepper. And uh, so I just felt compelled, let's say, I felt compelled to talk to all of you who were ever in AA or any cult or any Oprah fan that she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She's not a therapist. And she's not a priest or a priestess or whatever. She's a show host. She's a very, very successful um, personal. She created her own personal, you know, following. There's other words for that, but she knows nothing about forgiveness and who needs to forgive and what we forgive people for. And so right from the horse's mouth of my wonderful therapist, um, Wendy, and I'll leave her last name out, you don't need to forgive anybody when they have abused you as a child or even as an adult. But let's talk about children. No, 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 never, never. And if you do eventually, which I did eventually, but not because I did that first. I got the rage out. I got the sadness out. I mourned it. I raged again. I worked with this therapist for a number of years, and that other person actually tried to change and to make things right with me. And I will not use the word amends. That's not, it's such a stepper word, isn't it? When you hear that, you go, oh, yeah, guess they're a 12 stepper. But, 12 step and its cult has become so embedded everywhere. And it's like it's like part of the lexicon of America, unfortunately. And it needs to change. It needs to go away. It needs to fall by the wayside. Yeah, AA needs to fall. And every 12 step. And every person like her who has a big platform, I think would benefit from being confronted and being told. And when I mean confronted, I mean, verbally have a conversation with them and say, you're absolutely wrong. She is not a therapist. She is not an expert. The only thing that I'm an expert on and she's an expert on is our own experience. And that's really not being an expert, right? On something. We know our lives. And so what I learned is that the freedom came from giving up hope that things would ever change, mourning the death of my own childhood, to lose your innocence, and so young, and somebody abusing one. A beautiful baby who can do this, who could possibly do that. That's a monster, right? That's what a monster looks like. Uh, but Oprah doesn't know. She doesn't know anything about telling anybody that you are. I mean, it was so upsetting that I kind of like was blocking out, like repeating what she was saying. That, she wasn't saying, you have to. Maybe I'll have to watch it again to get the exact wording. Or that, this is she was sort of, it was like a mind fuck. It was like what they call word salad, where people are trying to, would you ever feel like people are just trying to get in there and like fuck with your head, right? Yeah, that's what well, that's because that's what they're doing, they're they're trying to make shit up. And so there are a lot of religions, I do think, that say, oh, everybody has to forgive everybody. But with child abuse, you never have to forgive. And also in murder, I murder and rape, I got close to the families of the people in my film, and especially Carla Brada's parents, and even Tracy White, whose brother was brutally murdered by serial killers. Who, well, I don't know if serial killers. They certainly acted like a Dexter Morgan type of thing. And I heard a stupid stepper say to Tracy's brother, well, you just have to forgive him. I was like, are you kidding? Like, we're here right now. We're in the courthouse. The trial is just beginning. We've waited for years for this speedy and just trial to happen. And you're going to stand here this close to this poor guy's face and say to him, as the trial is still in process, that he needs to forgive the killers, like before they're even sentenced and tried and convicted, and their DNA was all over everything. So it's really messed up. And so I felt compelled, and now I can go down and watch Mad Men again or something, and forget about life the way it is until this whole stupid thing is over. So anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again, because I think I'm going to bring somebody on, and we'll find some places in the big book or some of the literature, and I'll have maybe Evelyn or somebody join me for a conversation about that. It's not important. It is nice to be able to move past it, to get out of the rage and to forgive, but it doesn't come first. It only comes if it comes. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents. And it sure does feel good to not have any person who is just a media celebrity put in on a pedestal because they are not better than any of us. God bless you all. Take care.